everyone. I'm Tracy Austin, and this is Tennis Channel Academy. The Tennis Channel Academy production team has crisscrossed the entire country, spending time with the top coaches in our sport.
Load, fire.
Land on your right, step to your left.
These are the same coaches who mold promising players into champions. Now they will teach you the same way they coach and mentor the stars.
Here we go, make the move. Perfect.
As you will see, there are as many ways to teach winning tennis as there are ways to win, and as many personal styles.
Pivot, turn.
Come on, get up to it. Go after it. Good.
If you love the game, more importantly, if you play the game, this show will be your game changer. In this Tennis Channel Academy, you get to learn from the greatest teacher ever to play the game, Brian Teacher. Teacher won the Australian Open in 1980 and was top 10 in the world for several years. He coached Greg Rosetsky and numerous other professional players. He's an experienced coach who works with a variety of up-and-coming juniors through his iTennis Academy. Now, Brian Teacher brings his years of tennis knowledge to you.
I've been around tennis my whole life. I've worked my way up from the public parks. I've played at the highest level. And to this day, you know, I still love coming to the courts. I still love working with kids. And I love working with adults, too. Anybody that I see that wants to soak up the information and genuinely wants to get better, that is fun. And it's always a thrill to see that light go on. Boom. A little more intense, okay? A little more intense. Go, go, go. Good. Nice volley. One of the highlights of my career was certainly winning the Australian Open in 1981. It's part of history. I mean, my name is on that trophy forever, so it is really something special, and I treasure the fact that I actually won it. Let's load up, move your feet, get those shoulders turned, guys. Come on, move them, move them. If the player wants to get better, then they're soaking up the information like a sponge. As a coach, you have to understand what makes them tick, and you have to be able to push their buttons to make them want to improve, to push them onto the edge so that they're trying to get better every day. Getting that shoulder across on the first move with the wrist set back, okay? Stay low, come on. Oh, that's a beauty. I love that. The serve is really one of the most important shots in tennis. You can't practice it enough, and you gotta practice it to be consistent and aggressive. In order to hit an effective serve, you gotta be in balance and you gotta be relaxed. A common thing that pros do, if you look at them, they all bounce the ball. They're all leaning forward. Some of them bounce it once, twice, some of them bounce it 10 times. It sets up their serve. It allows them to relax their body and to find that neutral position right before they start pivoting and loading up to serve. You know, I've never seen a good server that can't throw a ball well. So if you don't serve well or you want to improve your serve, start just learning to throw a ball well. Good. Throw it to the fence. There we go. Keep your wrist at the same angle, okay, as you load it. Get it to the shoulder height. And then once you're at the shoulder height, your elbow comes around to the right and your wrist flops back. And you lead through with your elbow and then your wrist snaps through. Now, when you're serving, instead of your elbow coming through to the right and snapping, your elbow's gonna come up and out. It's very important to go up and out to snap as opposed to just coming through. If you were just bringing your elbow out low like you were throwing a ball, you would almost serve sidearm. You want to have full extension to get your energy to go up and over and snap through the ball. Elbow up and out and then snapping up and through. Come on, go. Excellent. tennis is about loading and unloading, and the serve is no different. Your legs and hips and torso generate a tremendous amount of power through the shot. Just like you're throwing a ball, you're releasing your right hip and you're turning your torso. And as you're turning, you're pushing into your right foot and you're distributing the weight back forward into the front foot across your body. So you're trying to store this energy as you're turning. You're pushing into the ground with your right foot, and your weight is being distributed more into the front foot. You're ready to explode up and out into the court. Once you're loaded, you want to explode up and out, and you want to continue up and out like an arc. You got to go up and over the rainbow, and you want to land into the court. You want to stay strong, stretch up and hit, finish the hit, and go out into the court so that your energy's going up and out at an arc. Looks good. Go up. Oh, explosion. He got the explosion. The serve is one of the most important shots in the game. You want to use it to your benefit to get your opponent off balance so you can get an easy next shot. And you can't do that without practicing it a lot.
We learn the serve and volley from Brian Teacher when Tennis Channel Academy returns. When Brian Teacher played on the tour, he was a pure serve and volleyer. These days, no one does it all the time, but it's important to mix it into your game. Here, Brian Teacher shows us how to succeed with a serve and volley.
I won the Australian Open by serving and volleying, and I love the play. There's definitely a place in modern tennis for the serve and volley. It is definitely harder to serve and volley today than when I was playing 20, 25 years ago. However, there is still a place in the game for it today. You need to have it as part of your repertoire. You can't just sit back there, hit a great serve, and let your opponent float a return deep and then start the point off as if you didn't have a great serve. So when you hit the great serve and the guy's floating the return, you have to be able to have the ability to come in, pick the ball off that's floating, split, get up to that tee, and punch it and knock it off. On the serve and volley, you got to get the toss into the court. Why? Because you want to explode up to the ball and be able to clear the baseline with your left foot. It is so important to use your legs with the serve and volley. You've got to load those hips and legs and explode up and out into that court. If you don't get a good jump and you land on the baseline, you are going to be a half a step to a step late getting to the ball at the net, and you're going to be picking it out from your toenails, okay? So you've got to load those hips and legs and explode up and out into that court. Sprint up to that tee as fast as you can. You split, and you're ready to go for that first volley. Good. It is really important when you're serving and volleying to mix up where you're serving so that your opponent doesn't know what side you're actually serving to when you're coming in. You got to have variation on your serve, but you got to keep in mind, what are your opponent's strengths and weaknesses? If he's got a weaker forehand than backhand, then you probably want to go to his forehand 65% of the time, but you got to keep him honest and go to his backhand 35% of the time. That way he doesn't quite know, he can't just completely lean on his forehand, his weaker shot. When you serve out wide in the deuce court to your opponent's forehand, you have to get in quickly to cover the line. You've just exposed the line. When you're serving up the tee to your opponent's backhand, again, the easiest place for him to return it is either to pull it in the middle or down the line. The more you serve and volley, the better you're going to get at it. And as you get better, you're going to find that your intuition, your sixth sense of where your opponent's going to hit the ball will improve. If you catch him late, meaning that he's hitting the ball late in his stance, he's going to have a tendency to pull the ball up the line. If he hits it early, good chance he's going to hit the ball cross court because the natural tendency is to stay on the ball and pull it across your body. So serve and volley is not dead in today's game. Puts pressure on your opponent, and if he's getting you those crappy returns, you're coming into net and being able to punch through the ball and penetrate and set up for the next shot or knock it off for a winner.
Brian Teacher tackles some of the trickiest volleys in tennis when Tennis Channel Academy returns. The low volley, the high volley, the reflex volley. Each one has a life of its own. Now, Brian Teacher shows us how to make tough volleys look easy.
When you're volleying, that means attack. See it off your opponent's strings, pick it up early, go after it, and attack. When you're hitting a volley, you gotta think about being aggressive. If you wait for the ball, you are dead. You're gonna end up late in the court. You're giving the opponent the advantage to be able to get it down on your feet, and you're not as close to the net. The closer you are to the net, the easier it's gonna be to win the point. Regardless of how difficult the volleys are, one thing is a commonality. You are always moving forward. Forward for the high volley, forward for the low volley, and forward for reflex volley. You got to keep moving forward, and you move forward quickly and go after that ball. You know, the low volley is a really important part of today's game. You got to be able to move quickly after the ball, stay down low, get through the shot, and still penetrate through the court. That's not easy. As the great Pancho Segura told me when I was a kid, get your butt low to the ground, kid. That means you got to get down low with your rear end and move through the court aggressively. Stay low, move through it low, and finish low. You want to make sure your head stays down on the shot so you see it over the net. Then you can lift up. Your legs are very important on the low volley. Your last step to the ball is with your back leg. You're pushing from the back leg, bringing the torso through and punching through to the ball. The wrist has to be out in front and laid back. This allows you to penetrate, to keep the ball deep so that you do not lose position in the court. Come on. Good. And if you notice, the racket face is tilted back. Why? Because the ball's under the net. If the racket face is flat, it's going to go into the net. It's got to be open so that when the ball hits the strings, it's going to have lip. It's a defensive shot, but you're still trying to be as aggressive as you can and penetrate through the court. So in that effort, you want to make sure you don't give your opponent a lot of angle. You either want to hit it up the middle of the court or up the line. If you hit it cross court and you do not put it away, you will give your opponent all the angle to hit a passing shot. Ready? Go. Good. Come on. That's a nice one to close on. The high backhand volley can be a difficult shot. However, you have to learn to turn it into a weapon. One of the most important aspects is to get that shoulder turn. Hands in front, wrist back, get that shoulder turning and across your body. That's going to give you all the leverage to be able to punch down through the shot. As you bring your shoulders through and punch the forearm, you punch through and you have to flatten your wrist because you're hitting down. And if anything, you rotate your wrist and your forearm through the shot. You flatten and punch through. You do not want an open racket face. If the racket face is open, you'll have a tendency to hit it up. It's high and you want to hit down through the court, so you flatten to get a nice, strong finish. Good, nice shot. That's a way to flatten it. On that high backhand volley, where are you trying to hit it? Well, if you can knock it off cross-court, the cross-court shot is always the easiest volley to hit because it stays on the string the longest. Ready? Go. Oh, that was a great volley. You have to learn how to hit this volley effectively. When you do hit it effectively, it is a great weapon in your arsenal.
reflex volley is one of the toughest volleys because you don't have time to prepare. One common reaction that club players have is when they have a reflex volley, it comes quickly, is to pull their hand back, which deadens the shot, and then the opponent comes up and creams you. So the key is you're still trying to be aggressive. You got to move your legs forward, and you got to keep your racket, your wrist in front. You want the wrist laid back, and you want it firm, and you got to keep it in front and moving forward. On the reflex volley, it's important, as in any volley, you got to keep your legs moving forward, pushing from the back leg to the front leg, so that when you're punching through the ball, your weight is going with you, and it gives it added pace. If you're stretched out on a reflex volley to your backhand, the first move is get the wrist set back and get the shoulder across your body. If you hit the ball with just your wrist, and it's a reflex, meaning it's a hard ball, it's going to die. You will have nothing behind it but your wrist.
Go. There you go. Push with the leg. Good shot. Perfect.
So remember, on the reflex volley, you got to be aggressive. It's coming fast, but you got to be aggressive. Go after the ball, get the wrist set, and get the legs moving forward.
Playing smart is just as important as playing well. Brian Teacher talks percentage tennis when Tennis Channel Academy returns. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't play the percentages, you'll never get the results you deserve. Now, Brian Teacher gives his favorite tips on playing percentage tennis.
You know, in today's game, it's not enough just to be talented. You have to learn how to play the percentages. And in those percentages, I'm going to show you some of my favorite shots.
Drop the bass.
You know, it's been said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again with a bad result. If a server is killing you with a particular serve, you've got to take that serve away from him. If the server is acing you time and time again to the forehand, you can't leave it open anymore. You got to cover that shot, so you got to position yourself to take that angle away.
Beautiful. That's it.
If he's acing you to the backhand consistently, well, then position yourself a little more to the backhand so you cover that and make him go the other way. So in this case, the percentage play is taking that big serve away where he's been acing you and forcing him to go in the opposite direction. The important part of percentage tennis is playing the score. When you're up on your opponent's serve, 15-30, 15-40, add, that's the time to take a chance. Play aggressive on that second serve. Run around, smack a forehand, put pressure on your opponent to come up with a good shot.
There we go. Beautiful.
The baseline overhead, it's a smart percentage play. You have to take advantage of it. That ball is just sitting there for you to crush it. You gotta get behind it and move through it and take advantage of that chance you have to win the point. Players that let the ball bounce and hit a forehand, I look at it that they just don't, they're not comfortable with the baseline overhead. They've just let their opponent off the hook. They've lost the total advantage in the point. When hitting the baseline overhead, you don't go for the lines. You play the percentages. You get behind it, rip it, and give yourself margins.
Good. That's a hell of an overhead.
One of the keys on the approach shot is to take the ball on the rise. You want to take it early and penetrate through the court. You never want to try to hit the lines on an approach shot. 3 feet from either the sideline or the baseline is plenty. A common mistake I see players make all the time is they approach cross court. Why is that a mistake? Because you're opening the whole court up, and it makes it almost impossible for you up at net to cover the shot. Approaching down the line or up the middle is a good idea because you're taking the angle away from your opponent.
Move through it. Stay low. Come on. Oh, that's a beauty. I love that.
An approach shot is your chance to get up to the net and make the transition. You take the ball early. You want to manage that ball. You don't want to give it away, and it allows you to capitalize on the next shot and hopefully hit a winner.
as a coach, what I love working with kids, and I love seeing that light go on in their head, that aha moment when they get it.
It brings a lot of joy to me to see you guys improving, working on the things that I think is going to get you better.
I think tennis can make you a better person. The game itself is a game of sportsmanship, and that in itself is learning how to lose, learning how to pick up the pieces, learning how to make yourself better. Those are life's lessons, and so that's a great reward for me as a coach to see that